Cody and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing another cosplay work log, but this time it's with a little bit of a twist. So I recently came across this video that got put up several months ago, which was done by Alana, Owlet, and Kirilee cosplay, and that is the Cosplay Scrapepicchallenge, in which you're tasked to make a cosplay using only $20 or less. So yeah, that was quite an interesting challenge for me to say the least. So I want to show you guys how I pulled together this Tokito cosplay from Demon Slayer using $20 or less. So yeah, let's jump into the video!
So the first thing that I did was gather some accessories that I've used from previous cosplays to put towards Tokito. These included my old Tabi socks, my Zori that I've used for multiple characters, and my katana. When it comes to the katana, I am very well aware that Tokito does have a custom designed katana, but because I am on a budget, I am just going to be using my generic one. So my first step towards actually putting Tokito together was a bit unconventional. Normally, I would just grab black fabric and just have at it at my sewing machine, but because I didn't really have any black fabric that I wanted to use, you'll see why in a minute, I decided to try to dye some old fabric that I had. My first step in dyeing my fabric was of course to go to my local Michael's and buy some dye. I bought two different kinds of red dye, one for polyester and one for cotton, and that totaled up to $7.38. After that, I went to my local dollar store and purchased some additional dyeing materials such as tongs, a tin, and some gloves, as well as salt, and that totaled up to $4.38. Once I set up my dye station, I then began mixing the dyes together. I mainly used the polyester dye with a little bit of the cotton dye to add more color, and then I began dyeing some of the smaller pieces of fabric. Unfortunately, my dye job did not really turn out well, and in the end, I ended up grabbing this black fabric that I was supposed to use for a different cosplay to make Tokito. Oh, the sacrifices we make in the name of cosplay. With the fabric situation finally settled, I began patterning out all the pieces for Tokito. When it comes to the Hakama, I just custom made my pattern, and when it came to the top, I altered this collared shirt pattern that I had. The two alterations I made to the shirt pattern were mainly in the collar, the neckline, and most importantly, in the sleeves. Basically what I did was keep the sleeve head as normal, but changed it into a kimono sleeve. First thing I did was put the Hakama together. Unfortunately, I didn't really have a lot of footage of me making this Hakama, but if you've made one before, you kinda know how it works. The only major difference that I did was that I changed it to a fitted waistband with a zipper, and then I added white belt loops made out of bias tape for the belt. For the belt, I decided to actually go ahead and make my own belt using leftover white cotton. Then I ironed some interfacing to make it a little more stiffer, sewed it together, and attached it to a fashion buckle that I had lying around. And in another effort to not spend money on purchasing an eyelet, I actually went ahead and learned how to do a medieval hand-sewn eyelet using embroidery floss. And with that, the Hakama and belt was done. Now for the logo. I want this logo to be pretty big on my back, so to get it to the size that I wanted, I first blew up the image in Photoshop and then printed it onto 4 pieces of paper. These pieces were then cut out and taped together to form one big stencil. I then traced the stencil mirror side up onto Heat and Bond Light, and then grabbed some leftover white matte satin from my Princess Tutu cosplay, and ironed it onto that. To make sure I placed my logo correctly, I first pinned my stencil onto the back piece of my top and lightly marked out the design using chalk. I then carefully cut each piece of the design out one by one, ironed it on, and then top stitch it down using my sewing machine. After I sewed the shoulder seams together, it was now time to tackle the kimono sleeves. The first thing I did was to first sew the sleeve head as normal, and then the second step was a two-parter. The first, sew the kimono sleeve itself, stop, and the second part, sew the side seam. And that's how you do kimono sleeves on Western-style jackets. After I put the base mandarin collar together, I created the white strip by using leftover white satin that I also used for the logo. I then ironed it using my iron, pinned it onto the collar, and then sewed it down twice. The first was to just anchor it down, and the second was to create a little line that is sewn in most of the artwork. After I attached the mandarin collar, I went ahead and attached the facing, hemmed all the edges, and then sewed in the buttonholes. For the buttons themselves, I just grabbed these gold buttons that I already had in my stash and sewed them on one by one in the appropriate places. For the final detail on this top, I went ahead and used a leftover white strip from earlier and then top stitched it down on the left side. Alright, so the last part of this cosplay was the wig. This was the wig that I used for my Shiro cosplay from Arda, and the first thing I did was take out the ponytail and re-straighten the whole wig. Once the whole wig had been straightened, I pulled out my final purchase for this cosplay, which is these packet of Wefts from Epic Cosplay, which cost $6.75. I then went ahead and pinned one row of Wefts into the wig and sewed it all down. Once the Wefts were sewn in, I cut it to the length that I wanted it, straightened it, and then feathered the ends. With the back all sorted out, all I had to do was cut the bangs and the wig was done. And that is how I put together my Tokito cosplay from Demon Slayer. So in total, I spent about $18.51 for all the materials that I purchased for this cosplay. However, if you only took into account how many materials I actually used to put this cosplay together, I only spent $6.75 for the Wefts, which is really amazing considering how expensive cosplay can get. I'm really happy that I participated in the Scrapepicchallenge cosplay challenge because it really goes to show that, you know, with a little bit of ingenuity, you can make cosplays on a budget.
So I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. If you want to partake in the Cosplay Scrapepicchallenge challenge, I will link the videos that Alana, Owlet, and Kirilee cosplay made on it in the description box below. And tell me in the comments if you have any further questions on how I made Tokito. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more cosplay stuff from me. Or if you want to check out my dance stuff, please go and subscribe to my dance channel. I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, bye!